Hi, welcome to the channel. Today's video we're going to look at a pair of walking boots from Mountain Warehouse. So they're these Storm Extreme waterproof boots, and they come with a few interesting claims, one of which is that the outsoles are guaranteed for 5,000 miles. But if you ever on social media, Mountain Warehouse do quite a lot of advertising via Facebook, and I've noticed they get absolutely slated in the comments, people saying that their gear's not any good, wouldn't be trusted in the mountains and stuff. So I figured I'd buy a few bits and pieces of Mountain Warehouse gear and test it out. So I've done nearly 50 miles in the boots so far, in a lot of different conditions, so I've got a fair idea of how they feel and how good they are at the moment. But obviously longevity will take a lot more walking, a lot more testing to put that 5,000 mile claim to the test. So what we'll do, we'll have a quick look around the boots, we'll go through the manufacturer's claims, and I'll give you my first impressions of how they've been so far, and then we'll do a follow-up video later on to see how well they're lasting. So if you want to catch that follow-up video, do subscribe to the channel and you'll be sure not to miss it.
Here are the boots in question. So these are the Mountain Warehouse Storm Extreme ISO grip. So Mountain Warehouse tend to do three ranges of stuff. There's the standard Mountain Warehouse stuff, then there's the extreme ranges which are supposed to be designed to be that much tougher and more high performance, and then there's an ultra range as well. So these are sort of the middle group in the extreme range. In terms of pricing, on the actual box there was the official label of $139.99, but Mountain Warehouse tend to discount permanently, so you'd never pay the RRP for them. At 140 quid they're going to be up against some really good boots from some really well-known brands, so obviously they will never be at that price. On the kind of discounted labels there is three different prices: $119.99, $79.99 and $69.99. So it seems to me whenever I've been in store they're available for $69.99, which makes them a lot better value for money. In terms of spec, so they are obviously ISO grip, which is like Mountain Warehouse's own version of like a Vibram sole or Solomon's Contra grip, that kind of stuff. So it's got a decent sole on it. And then ISO dry is again their version of Gore-Tex. So it's that same kind of waterproof, breathable membrane. So they're supposed to be breathable. They've got a suede and mesh upper, which is supposed to give durability and breathability, and the durable rubber outsole has got EVA footbed for moulded fit and comfort, and it's got obviously a rubber bumper at the front and rear of the boot as well to give extra protection from general damage and wear and tear. They actually do feel really well made. I certainly can't see any issues with them at all in terms of the stitching, the finishing. All seems really tight, really well glued. From first impressions in the first sort of 50 miles, yeah, they do seem actually a really good pair of boots. And obviously the other thing which I've mentioned briefly maybe is that they've got the ISO grip 5,000 mile guarantee on the outsole. So obviously Mountain Warehouse are quite confident in the quality of these boots. So they are pretty substantial boots with pretty substantial tread, quite a nice high tongue line as well to give added water protection. And yeah, you know, I think for 70 quid, I'm not sure if you'd be able to get anything better on the high street. And I'll give you one example. £62 will also buy you in Next their Duratrek boots. And I think if you put them side by side and you do a comparison, I'm not saying that the Next ones are well made, but they're nowhere near as substantial as the Mountain Warehouse ones. So if I was a casual person shopping on the high street and I wandered into Mountain Warehouse and bought these, I think just based on first impressions, you'd be getting a lot more boot for the money than if you bought the Next ones. But obviously I'm testing both, so we'll see how they both fare over a few hundred miles. I could be completely wrong, but from first impressions, you're certainly getting a lot more boot for your money with the Mountain Warehouse ones.
So so far I've worn the Mountain Warehouse boots for about 50 miles of off-road walking, and they've done really heavy rain, they've done really wet grass. They did 8 miles of soaking wet, thick long grass, which is a killer for any boot in my experience, and they stayed dry for that, which was really impressive. My Salomons often soak out really quickly in those kind of conditions, despite those being Gore-Tex. So I appreciate that obviously the newer the boots, the more waterproof they tend to be anyway. So obviously got to get a few miles in more to really test out how good they are. They have got my feet damp on one occasion, and that was again long grass, heavy snow melt. So they did have a little bit of dampness in it then. Not soaking wet by any means, but a little bit of dampness crept in. So that was a sign that they might be suffering from the same kind of wet out as all the other boots that they own. In terms of conditions, they've been out in snow, they've been dry, gravel, grass, rocks, mud, all those kind of things, and I can say the only thing they struggle with is wet rock. Wet rock, they are slippery. So I don't know whether it's just all boots are quite slippery on wet rock. I don't think I've really found a pair yet that I've got complete confidence in, especially because it's been so wet the last couple of months in Wales. There's a lot of like green algae and stuff on rocks, so that is a very slippery combination at the best of times. But so far they have been comfortable. They are a reasonably good fit for me, but obviously when it comes to boot comfort, people can't really comment, because obviously every boot is going to fit different people differently. So what I might think is a really comfy pair of boots might not suit other people. They are definitely a bit wider than the Salomons in terms of fit, so my feet are quite narrow, so I benefit from the narrow fit of the Salomons, whereas the Mountain Warehouse a little bit wider, but not been a problem so far. I've not had any blisters, but again, the best way to avoid blisters is to wear 2 pairs of socks, wear a thin pair of sock liners, and then your normal walking socks over the top. That means the friction is between the inner sock and the outer sock, not your skin and the sock. So it really does help to avoid blisters. My feet were a little bit sore at the end of an 8-mile walk, but that was a pretty non-stop walk, and I haven't done much mileage recently like that, so my feet were going to be sore at the end of it anyway. But again, nothing too serious, just letting me know that I've been for a proper walk for a change. To try and summarise my initial thoughts, obviously it's difficult to really put a value figure on the boots, because Mountain Warehouse are kind of always on a permanent sale, so their RRPs are never really the RRPs, because they're almost always on a discount. Every store is always seems to be closing for refurbishment or closing down, so I think it's a bit disingenuous to have the RRP on the box when actually you're very unlikely to ever pay that price, because it's almost always permanently discounted. So to me, I've been in Mountain Warehouse a few times, and the stable price seems to be $69.99, which seems to be reasonable value for money in my books. But I do wonder if anyone's got any other recommendations for around the £70 to £100 marks that they would rather buy than these. So if you have got any recommendations, do drop them in the comments, so myself and other people can have a look at what those are. But I think in terms of someone walking in off the high street, going to Mountain Warehouse and picking up a pair of boots, I think they're going to get a reasonably solid pair of boots. Obviously the longevity is to be tested, and I'm not quite sure how the Outsole guarantee works as well, so I'll probably look into that ready for the next video, which I will do at some point in the distant future when I've put a lot more mileage onto the boots, which is going to be difficult because I've got 3 pairs of walking shoes and boots I'm currently trying to put a lot of mileage onto, so it's going to be difficult to really get the mileage up on them as quickly as I'd like, but I will do my best. So if you want to catch up with that video in the future, then do subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be reminded of when new videos are out, and you'll probably see me wearing the free boots that I'm testing in my videos as we go along, and obviously at some point I'll come back and do a catch up as to how the boots are getting on. So if there's any kind of failure or any kind of issues, I'll post a lot quicker. If there aren't, then I'll just post an update in a few hundred miles time. Anyway, huge thanks for watching, made it this far. thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.